I chose my stepson over my son and regretted it forever. I'm 55 years old and have spent my life as a mechanic, pouring my heart and soul into my work. My son, Mark, was born from my first marriage. For many years, it was just the two of us. After my wife left, Mark and I formed a tight bond, navigating the ups and downs of life together. He was my little shadow, always eager to help out at the garage and dreaming of the day he could take over. I remember how he'd come running after school, his backpack swinging, excited to learn about engines and tools. Those moments are some of my happiest memories. When Mark was around 15, I remarried. My wife, Linda, had a son named Ethan from her previous marriage. He was 10 when we met. I thought that having a blended family would bring us all closer together, but I didn't realize the emotional complexities it would introduce. While Ethan was an energetic and bright kid, he never quite filled the void I felt from my separation from Mark. I thought things would balance out, but they didn't. As the years went by, I got more involved in my work, trying to keep the garage running and provide for my new family. I started to see less of Mark, who moved away for college. The calls and visits became sparse. I figured he was busy with his studies and trying to make a life for himself, and I thought he'd reach out when he needed me. I didn't want to be a nagging parent. Then came the day of Ethan's high school graduation. It was a monumental achievement for him. He had worked so hard, balancing academics and sports. Linda and I were over the moon, and I wanted to celebrate it in a big way. The night of the graduation, we threw a huge party, inviting family and friends. In the excitement of it all, I made a decision that I thought was generous. I would support Ethan's college journey, offering to help pay for his tuition and any expenses he had. A few days later, I sent Mark a message to share the news. I thought he'd be happy for us, for his little brother. But as soon as he responded, my heart sank. "Is this a joke?" he asked, disbelief dripping from every word. Confused, I replied, "What do you mean?" "Dad, you used to say you'd support me when I graduated. I thought you'd be there for me, but now you're just pouring everything into Ethan." His hurt was palpable, and it felt like a punch to my gut. I knew that I had overlooked him, but I couldn't bring myself to admit it. "You're hardly around anymore. Mark, you've moved on with your life. Why should I wait around?" I snapped back, letting my frustration get the better of me. The silence on the other end was deafening, but then he broke it with words that shattered my heart. "You care more about your new family than you do about me," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. In that moment, I saw the boy who used to look up to me, the little boy who wanted to be just like his dad. Now I had pushed him away. I didn't know how to fix it, so I fought back with anger instead of love, saying things I never should have said. We ended the call in a heated argument. I felt justified at the time, like I was defending my new family, but deep down, a part of me knew I had crossed a line. Weeks passed without a word from Mark. I tried calling him, texting, and reaching out through social media, but there was no response. Each unanswered message felt like a weight pressing down on my chest. I began to realize that I had created this distance, and it hurt more than I could express. I could have reached out, could have made an effort to mend things, but pride held me back. Months later, I learned through Linda that Mark had graduated. He hadn't invited me to the ceremony. I didn't blame him. I had made my choices, and I was living with the consequences. Linda told me he had secured a job in his field, something he had worked so hard for, and he was planning to move back home to be closer to family. I felt a mix of emotions, pride for his achievements, yet a deep sorrow for the chasm that now lay between us. Then came the package. I received it unexpectedly one day. No return address. As I opened it, my heart raced. Inside was a small framed picture of us from years ago, captured during a happy moment at the garage. The image was torn down the middle. Along with it was a simple note that read, "I hope you're happy. I am moving on." The realization hit me like a freight train. I had lost my son not just to distance, but to my own negligence and pride. I had broken a bond that took years to build, and I was powerless to fix it. Every day since, I've thought about reaching out, about apologizing, about doing everything I can to let him know how much he means to me. But I also know that trust is hard to rebuild, and I fear that I've lost the chance to be the father he deserves. TLDR, I prioritized my Stepson over my son and broke our bond, leaving my son feeling abandoned and heartbroken.